Hey, my successful allies. This is Brittany from What's Next to Success, and I stopped by today to just say hello, family. No, but for real. So we're going to have a conversation today about reuniting with your parents after you spend so many years running the streets, being a criminal, using drugs, staying away from your families, your parents, your children. And we're going to talk about the process that I had to take in regards to reconnecting with my father after being away from him and not being connected pretty much my whole life, even when he was raising me, and more when I became a criminal and was living the street life, because I definitely wasn't having a father-daughter unit at that time at all. So I want to just touch on that topic tonight really briefly on some of the steps that I took to really reconnect with my dad and to take accountability and responsibility for the part that I played in the disconnect. Because I'm an adult, and at a certain point I have to accept me. I'm gonna keep it on me. I had to make a decision to accept the part that I played in, and I'm my lime water. It makes me feel like an adult when I got the glass, but it's water with lime because I don't drink alcohol. So, but cheers to you on this happy Sunday. So yeah, I just want to just take a moment and touch on the disconnect and reconnecting with your parents. Okay, so really quickly, I was born in New Jersey, and I grew up in a household that was pretty toxic. So I'll talk about that stuff on other story time videos. So I grew up in a household that was pretty toxic. Yes, I grew up in a house. I grew up in a neighborhood that was, that was predominantly people that would engage in a lot of criminal activities. A lot of prostitution, casinos, gambling, a lot of crime, a lot of homelessness, a lot of drugs. So I grew up in that kind of life, and that kind of stuff around me, including in my home with family members. So I grew up that I was, a victim of child molestation, rape throughout the course of my life, lifestyle prostitution, all of these dangerous things that happened to me along the way. So I had a lot of traumas that were caused onto me, and I was a kid. So, I don't walk around with blame now. It is what it is because I've done a lot of healing. However, for a long time, that's your parents' fault. Like, nobody ain't watching out for this little girl. Nobody ain't really watching out, making sure that, they're safe and everything like that. Mother is pretty much, just living her kind of life, and father is pretty much just living his kind of life. And in the midst of that, the children get lost. So I was one of the lost kids in the mix of all the toxicity. So I carried that burden and that pain from what my parents did and didn't do my whole life as a child. And then I turned 16, and right before I turned 16, my mother had a heart attack. That's a whole nother topic, and we'll move on from that. And I carried the pain and burden of a loss of a mother and the grief and all of that. So shortly after my mother passed away, my father, I was very rebellious, and I was a very rebellious teenager. And I had already started, smoking weed and being involved with, drug dealers and the lifestyle prostitution and escort services and everything right after my mom passed away. And I was drinking, and I was a mess. So because, again, I was a child who got lost in the circle of toxicity in families and poor households. Now, let me just make this very clear, right? A lot of things happen in rich families. However, a lot of the burdens a lot of negative things do happen in rich families. I'm not taking nothing away from that. However, a lot of the social ills and burdens that we carry living in the inner city is because we don't have no money. We don't have any money. There was times where I was bullied because I didn't have materialistic items. My dad wasn't buying me, at that time it was a lot of Timbs and Jordans. I wasn't getting that. So because that wasn't really that necessary in my household, but I grew up really with no money. So they probably made it not necessary so they didn't have to buy it. So, because there was no money for that. And, so I got older and I grew up with all of this stuff. And then I hit the streets running when I was 16 years old. So my dad was like, I don't want to deal with this. You got to go. So I left the house at 16 by him telling me that I had to leave because he didn't want to, participate in the parenting of whatever kind of child I was at the time, because I was doing a lot of things that he just didn't want to deal with. Now, fast forward, I know he's a human. He was only working with what he has, and all is love. I love my dad, and that's the point that I'm going to make. So for 12 years, I was really disconnected from him for my whole life. But these 12 years where I was outside of the home, from 16 till about 28, because I went to jail when I was 27 for the last time, and I couldn't come home. So I had to write a letter and ask him to really help me, and help me with the participation of keeping my son out of a foster home. And it was during that time where I had to really start taking accountability for us still being disconnected, because at a certain point you can say to yourself, like, I'm an adult, and I'm able to make adult choices. I've been engaging in all these criminal behaviors. I'm adult enough to make a choice to become more of an adult, to be able to have a relationship with my father. A lot of times we are living these certain types of lifestyles and we walking around with shame, a lot of baggage, a lot of traumas that we're not dealing with. And trust me, it's not easy. I didn't wake up and say, okay, I wanted to talk to my dad and now we are connected. No, there's steps that I had to take, and they're highly suggested steps. If you truly desire to have a relationship with your children, or with your mother, with your father, or with, my child, or with every child, when I had to get and reconnect and do things to build a relationship back with mine, I had to start taking steps and it's not always easy, and they're not always going to be receptive. So I will tell you, you cannot do nothing and never find out if you could have made it work, or you can at least attempt to try and see. And then after, some time, I will send you lots of love and light that it will work out, and you will have the most wonderful relationship with whoever it is in your family that you would love to have that kind of relationship with. However, you can be the biggest person, or you can be the first person to take that step, and you can start to heal. You got to start within. You have to totally start within. You cannot go outwards. You have to start within. So, and it's hard because who the fuck want to say I'm the person that did X, Y, and Z, whether you were or not. So you have to start within. So you have to start working with yourself. I do journaling. I meditate. I love meditation. Like, I meditate all the time because that's how I manifest things. And I need to hear my thoughts. So during my meditation times, a lot of things come through me. Like my ancestors talking to me, my mom. That's the main person I talk to, my mom. That's really the person I talk to when I meditate. And I'm talking to somebody, I'm trying to channel energy from another life. That's the one I'm really talking to, and my spirit guides. But that's a whole nother video. But that's how I manifest things. So during those manifesting times, things come through me. And it came through me that you have to take accountability for the type of mother that you was from this time to this time. And then you also want to be grateful for the changes that you've made. And you want to own that too. Because you don't want to just beat up on yourself. But you want to start taking accountability for the part that you play in these situations. Whether it was not having boundaries and letting somebody just disrespect you, or whether it was you participating in the foolery. For my case, it was holding on to resentment and not digging deep and allowing that to consume my whole person. And I was like in a lifestyle walking, like it was fun at first. You know, you had a lot of fun until it wasn't. And then you become a walking zombie. And what really prompted this video was recently I went back home, and I always do a video when I come back home, a gratitude video, because for real, and I really came back and I really had this in my mind. If I wasn't the most dedicated to positive relationships and better, healthier relationship with myself first and then others before, man, right now, that's all I care about. That's all I care about is the manifestation of more money for a better future. I'm grateful for the time I'm living in right now, for more healthier relationships with family, healthier relationship with myself. And I had to really start taking accountability and looking, it starts within. Like I'm gonna say probably in every video, it starts within. You are the one, you are the only one that can change your circumstance. And as crazy as cuckoo, witchcrafty, spiritual, whatever anybody want to say, as insane as it might seem to some people, it's real to me. You can change everything with this. And writing it down, creating a manifestation board, writing stuff down, seeing it in your face, keep your goals in front of you, healthy relationships. So I decided to participate in my own healing and then be able to participate in a deep, loving relationship with my dad. And truly, it has been the best thing ever, because there was a time where I hated him. And this video, these videos that I'm gonna make is to share how much work and the positive and the negative of the things that you go through living these lifestyles and getting out of these lifestyles, and that you too can do it, so you can have a successful life, so you can make money, so you can leave your children something. Yo, your kids don't need no Jordans and the latest iPhones, and unless they about to take that iPhone and record, they need the best camera with the best iPhone. If they need to get on Snapchat and TikTok for dances, take the phone away. That's not what it is. We all need to start looking inside of ourselves so we can create wealth and something for these babies. Like, okay, if you came across this video and you're still in a certain kind of lifestyle, you getting out, you getting ready to make a change, you can make the change. You can go forward. I was the worst kind, like for real. Like I don't want to say I was the worst kind. Okay. I wasn't a murderer or nothing, but I sure as hell hung around some, I'm quite sure. Never killed nobody, but I'm sure I hung around some, I'm quite sure. So we want to get our shit together so these babies don't have to keep suffering through being poor. Poor mentality, poor environments, poor foods, poor everything. But got the flyest Jordans on. Really? What are they going to do when you die? When you go, well, not death, but like when you go to your next life, your next phase, what are they going to do? They're going to be suffering. And you better hope that somebody tell them about some meditation so they can channel energy to you so y'all can still talk. Positive relationships, man. That's what's next. Generational wealth is what's next. Breaking these, let's use the words, generational curses. Let's do it. If you have been afforded the opportunity to escape prostitution, to escape human trafficking, to not do 50 years for your boyfriend, to not do 50 years for your girlfriend, and to not be murdered out there in them streets, if you was afforded the opportunity. I had a young brother the other day talking about they investing in their kids. What kids? I heard this on the internet. What kids are you investing in if you're selling drugs? What are you really doing? So have fun while you at it, and let's get this bag. Let's start the healing. It starts inside, and let's have better relationships, and let's love ourselves, okay? All right. Till next time. I love you. Bye.